again to Elemental Yoga. For today's sequence, we are just going to do something that is more of a beautiful morning routine. It is very beginner friendly, and don't take this just like a morning routine that you can only use in the morning. You can still use it at any time of day. I just believe that some of these poses, these moves, this way of flowing is a great way to wake up your body and your mind and just start the day on that right foot. If you are new to this channel and sequence, remember to read the description below, and that way if there are any reminders or modifications, I do post them there, and it may help in case you have any sort of injury or whatnot. To start, we're going to just be in our cross-legged seated position. Sit nice and tall with those palms up over the knees and just let your eyes softly close. Really feel like you're reaching tall through the crown of that head, allowing yourself through the tailbone to feel like you're grounding down into the earth, giving you that sense of arrival, arriving to the mat, arriving in your space. Following that breath, just in and out, every inhale, every exhale. Be aware of where your breath is at, if it's rapid or if it's already nice and smooth. Maybe even make a note of if it's rapid, why? Are you still anxious? Is your heart just racing maybe from running around and quickly sitting onto the mat? And that way you can begin to just breathe all that out, releasing with every exhale any heaviness, any pressure within you. Begin to just let it go. The past is the past now, and with every inhale we move forwards. Every inhale we feel more calm and at peace. Every exhale, just release. So following each breath, allowing yourself to be anchored into the present moment with that breath. Remaining in the here and now. Only this moment exists right at this time. But if your mind does wander, just acknowledge it, but continue with the practice of pushing the thought aside and coming back to the breath each and every time. And it does get easier. Some days it's harder, some days it's not. But we continue with the practice of pushing that thought aside, come back to the breath with no judgment to yourself. Don't label anything as good or bad. You just are where you are right now. With your next few breaths, give your body that scan from head to toe, acknowledging every muscle, every joint, every injury, and every soreness. And respect that throughout your entire practice, as well as your energy levels. Roll those shoulders forwards a few times, nice big but slow movements, just beginning to wake up our body. And roll them backwards a few. Allowing the shoulders to just rest, take a few blinks and begin to open up the eyes. Start by bringing your right ear to your right shoulder, right hand over to the left ear, and just tug down gently, really allowing for that nice neck stretch. Make sure you feel that left shoulder sinking away from the ear, and that way you're trying to just keep any tension out of there. You can always nod your head, finding that tight point, and then just remain there. And release, bringing that left ear to the left shoulder, left hand up and over to the right side, and again, just tug down gently. Still nice deep breaths. Allow the breath to really open everything up in your neck and in your throat. Again, you can nod the head to find that tight point, and then just remain there. And release, bringing the hands to the mat in front. Walk them over to the right side, going in for a gentle twist. Right arm reaches a bit further behind you, left hand against the knee to help push a bit deeper. And you can take your gaze to the back, But any neck issues like arthritis, just keep your gaze a little bit more forwards. And then begin to walk the hands back to the center and over to the left. Left hand coming a bit further behind you, right hand on the knee to push a bit deeper. Still keep those shoulders nice and open, nice and wide as you twist. Again, maybe gazing to the back or keeping your gaze forwards. And then making your way back to the center. Place that right hand on the mat beside you as you inhale, reach that left arm all the way up. And exhale, reach to the right for a nice side bend. Make sure that before you reach, you're really lengthening and then reaching over. That way we're not collapsing into our low backs. Shoulders relaxed, maybe gaze to the ceiling. Really take those deep breaths, open up the ribs, the side body. Lifting your way back up, left hand to the mat beside you. Inhale, right arm comes up. Exhale, reach over to that left side. Same cues, take your gaze to the ceiling. Deep breaths, expand the ribs. Open up your sides. And coming back to center, step the feet in front of you and just simply rock them a little side to side, warming up our hips, just getting a little movement. Mine just cracked. Step your feet a little bit further apart and again rock them a little side to side. Try to press your knee down when it gets to that center, working with the knees so you're not rolling your whole body to the side, kind of defeats the purpose. And then stopping in the center, swing your knees to one side, come up to a neutral tabletop, wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. On your first inhale, sink that stomach down toward the mat, tilt the head and pelvis up. Exhale, reach high with that mid-back, tuck the head and pelvis under. Inhale, sink, squeeze the shoulder blades together. And exhale, rise, pushing those shoulder blades apart. Just continue with a few more following that natural breath of yours. You really want to make sure that you are connecting with your breath here. This will help throughout any other pose or the rest of the sequence. And so you want to feel that on the top of the inhale, your stomach is sunk to that lowest point, and then your mid-back is reaching the highest point on the end of the exhale. On that next natural exhale, come back to that neutral tabletop. From here, we're going to step that right foot out behind us, tuck the toes under, and then just push the heel down towards the mat, just getting a nice little hamstring stretch. You'll feel it in your calf as well, maybe even the Achilles tendon. You can always pulse here a little bit if that works best for you. Just play around with it a bit, getting the body all nice and warmed up. And then begin to roll to the inside edge of that right foot. Inhale as you reach the right arm all the way up to the ceiling for a nice side plank. Here, if you want to deepen it, you can always try to lift that right foot away from the mat, holding it there, squeezing those glutes together. Or if you're kind of in the in-between stage, you can always even tap your foot up and find your balance. Release back to the mat, set that right knee back in, stepping the left foot out behind us, tuck the toes under and push that heel down. Again, you can always pulse a little bit, see what works best here. And then begin to roll to the inside edge of that left foot, reaching that left arm all the way up with a nice inhale, holding our side plank here. Still be squeezing the glutes, keep them a bit active. Try not to roll the body forwards. We want to have that chest puffing out in front of us. Again, you can deepen it by lifting that left foot away from the mat, trying to get it parallel to the mat below. But if not, just tap the foot up, get used to your balance. And then begin to roll your way back to the center, back to that neutral tabletop. As we inhale, we're going to twist and reach that right arm up to the ceiling. Exhale down to the mat. Inhale, left arm comes up to the ceiling. Exhale down to the mat. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale down. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale down. One more inhale to the right. But as we exhale, we're going to start to sit back towards our heels, reaching that arm further behind us, opening almost as if we're trying to open our body up even more. And then come back to that neutral tabletop. One more inhale, open to the left. And then again, as you exhale, you want to start to sit back towards the heels, reaching that left arm further behind you, really opening up the chest. And then come back to that neutral tabletop. Quick child's pose here. We're going to open up the knees a bit, sit back on the heels, reach those arms forwards, bring your forehead to the mat, and just breathe. Feel it a little bit active still. Shoulder blades should be sinking down the back as the crown of your head reaches forwards, adding that lengthening to the spine. And it's our chance to make sure that we still are focused on the breath in the present moment. Feel every inhale and exhale and connect it with your movement. Begin to start to lift yourself back to that neutral tabletop, stepping both feet out behind you this time in a nice high plank. Slightly round through the upper back by pushing those shoulder blades apart, hips still parallel to the mat below. Deep breath, just bring that heat to the body, heat to our core. And then begin to walk the feet towards the hands so we can roll up to standing. From here, we're going to inhale the arms up and exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees as much as you need to so your palms are flat to the mat. And relax the neck. Really feel like you're hinging from the hips here. Inhale, hands to shins, lift halfway up. Flat back by squeezing those shoulder blades together. Crown of the head reaches forwards. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms all the way up. And exhale, hands to heart center. From here, we're going to take that left foot and step it out behind us, turning the heel in slightly. Bend into that front knee, making sure the knee is just above the ankle, not past. And we're going to inhale the arms forwards and up for warrior one. Really feel like you're just relaxing the shoulders, no unwanted tension there. Feel that back foot pushing with the outer edge of the foot. That way the ankle doesn't roll inwards. Keeps it nice and strong. Resting here for a moment, be aware of the hips. In time, as your hips begin to open more, you'll be able to draw that left hip forwards and push that right hip back, bringing them a little bit more parallel to the front of the mat. One more deep breath. Open up to our warrior two, reaching that right arm forwards, left arm back, shoulders relaxed. Here you do want to feel that your hips are really opening to the side, and try not to reach forwards with your body. Think of that nice straight spine through the crown of your head. Drop that back hand down the back leg, front arm reaches up and over your head toward that back wall, side body stretch. Coming back to warrior two, swing those arms forwards and up and then lift up on the back toes, just switching over to a high lunge. Deep breath. Bring the hands down by your sides, lower your chest down a little bit more, turning it into a runner's lunge, reaching with the crown of that head forwards. And then bring your hands down to the mat, rock a little back and forth, just warming up the body still. Before placing that back knee down, untucking the toes, maybe walking that foot forwards, the front foot forwards a little bit more so the knee still remains above the ankle. Just for a quick low lunge, a nice stretch. If you are used to this already and want to make it deeper, just bring your hands to the knees and really allow those hips to sink forwards and down towards the mat. If you need to ease it up, just drag that back leg towards the front, making that deep stretch a little bit shorter. Bring the hands down to the mat, tuck those back toes underneath, lift the knee off the mat, and use momentum to step that back foot forwards into a forward fold and roll back up to standing. This time, we're going to bring our right foot stepping up behind us, turning the heel in slightly, bend into that front knee, make sure it's just above the ankle, not past. Push with the outside edge of that back foot, that way the ankle isn't rolling inwards. Be aware of the hips. In time, again, you'll push that left hip back, bringing that right hip forwards, making it a little bit more parallel to the front of the mat, and swing those arms forwards and up. Relax the shoulders. Take a nice deep breath. Transition to warrior two, reaching that left arm forwards, right arm back, shoulders still relaxed, spine nice and straight. This time feeling those hips really opening to that right side. And then drop that back arm down the back leg, front arm reaches over your head towards that back wall, side body stretch. Coming back to warrior two, swing those arms forwards and up, lift up on those back toes, right to a nice high lunge. Feel those hips sinking down towards the mat, really letting everything in the front, the hip flexors and whatnot, just stretch. Hands down by the sides, lower the chest, runner's lunge. Hands down to the mat, rock a little back and forth until you drop that back knee down, untuck the toes. Again, you can slide that back leg a little bit further or step the front foot a bit more forwards, just making sure that, again, the knee is over the ankle. If you want to make it deeper, again, you can place those hands on the knees, let the hips sink forwards and down towards the mat. Bring your hands back to the mat, tuck those back toes underneath, lift the hips up, use a bit of that momentum to shoot that back foot forwards, forward fold, and then begin to roll your way back up to standing. Now for this next one, we're going to bring our feet about hip-width distance apart, bend a little bit into the knees, and also tip that pelvis up. We're then going to bring our arms to our sides, 90-degree angle at the elbow, and then drop the elbows down a bit so they're in line with the bottom of our ribs. From here, you're going to inhale, puff the chest, and as you exhale, start to lean back a bit, really opening up the front of our bodies and even tipping the elbows up towards the ceiling, deepening that opening in the chest, the esophagus, the diaphragm, everything there. Lifting your way back up, just give your arms a little bit of a shake. Coming back towards the front of the mat, bring the hands to heart center. We're going to step that left foot out behind us, heel turned in slightly again. This time front leg stays straight, arms open up, right arm forwards, left arm back, make sure they're in line with one another. Reach that front arm forwards and then drop it down inside the shin, reaching that left arm all the way up to the ceiling. Here you want to feel as if you're leaning against that imaginary wall behind you. That way your shoulders, your midsection, your hips all try to open up rather than leaning forwards and reaching the arm behind you. Lift those arms back up, bend into the front knee, warrior two. Take that gaze forwards, deepen that breath, come back to the present moment if you wandered off. Hands back to heart center and just step that back foot forwards. And of course the other side, we're going to step that right foot out behind us, heel turned in slightly, open up the arms, left arm forwards, right arm back, shoulders relaxed. Reach that front arm forwards and drop it down inside the shin, reaching that right arm all the way up. Again, that imaginary wall behind you to keep everything open, leaning a little bit back, getting that deep hip, side body stretch. Lifting our way back up, bend into the front knee, warrior two for a moment, deep breathing as you gaze forwards. Hands to heart center and just step that back foot forwards. Here you're going to bring your big toes together, heels slightly apart, hands down by your sides, palms facing forwards. Close the eyes, let those shoulders relax. Take a few deep breaths. Feel your toes digging into the mat. The knees as if they're almost trying to pull apart from one another. Glutes are engaged by squeezing them together. That'll also help you tuck the pelvis under slightly for a straighter spine. Chest a bit puffed, shoulders relaxed. Reach tall through the crown of your head for Tandasana or mountain pose. It's a perfect way to gain focus back to the breath, to take just a moment maybe to regain our strength, slow down the heart rate. A few gentle blinks, allow the eyes to open back up. Bring the hands to heart center and step the feet a bit more than hip width distance apart with the heels turned in slightly. Inhale, puff that chest, and exhale, squat all the way down to Malasana. Here in Malasana, we want those hands at heart center and use the elbows between the knees to help push them apart, allowing that opening for our hips, and that will also let our hips and butt sink down more between the ankles. Just a nice deep breath. Keep that back nice and flat by squeezing those shoulder blades together. Shoulders always still away from the ears. We don't want to create any unwanted tension there. Now we're going to bring the hands to the mat in front of us. Step both feet out behind us in a nice high plank. Flip over on the tops of your feet and allow those hips to sink down towards the mat. Really puff the chest here, squeeze those shoulder blades together, and gaze either forwards or to the ceiling. If this is too much, just lower down a bit more with bent elbows, or even have your hands a little bit more in front of you with bent elbows. If you want to deepen our upward facing dog, try to lift those thighs, those hips away from the mat and really let that body sink. From here, we're going to lift the hips up, open up the knees, and sit back into child's pose, reaching those arms forwards, forehead to the mat for a nice breath. Working with a little bit of isometric movement. Here in child's pose, you want to feel as if your knees are stuck in that spot, but they're trying to really pull the mat apart from one another. That will engage our abductors, which is toward the outside of our thighs. So you want to feel, not actually moving apart, you want to feel as if they're trying to dig into the mat and draw the mat apart, pulling it apart. So try that a few times with a little bit of pulsing. Really work with those abductors. You may feel your legs start to shake at some point if you're also not used to that isometric movement. And then take a moment to relax, nice deep breath. And then same as before in child's pose, but this time you're going to use those knees glued to the mat where they are, but trying to squeeze the mat together. This is going to work with our adductors, which are the inside of our thighs. So again, knees aren't actually moving, but we're trying to pretend as if we're drawing the mat in towards each other, drawing those thighs in together. Try to hold there for a little bit or pulse a little bit if you need. And then let them relax. One more nice deep breath through the nose and sigh through the mouth. Begin to walk the hands towards you, lifting your way back up. And here we're going to sit to one side of the mat and kick those feet out in front of us. Give your legs a quick little wiggle. Then from here, we're going to have that feeling as if we're trying to tip the pelvis up, like we're sticking our butts out behind us. Flex the feet, bend the knees a little bit, and hinge from the hips, which is another way to do it is feel like you're really reaching from the chest forwards and down towards our legs. That will help eliminate rounding the back, which makes the pose a lot easier and you get less of a stretch. So again, tip the pelvis up, flex the feet, bend the knees a little bit, reach from that chest forwards and down on your next exhale. And here you can always grab a hold of your feet as long as that doesn't start to make you round the back. If it does, readjust and hook underneath the knees as you help to lower the body a little more. Try to really breathe to the muscles that you feel tight. Allow them to relax. Let your body ease its way into the stretch, because the more you tense up and try to pull yourself down, you're not going to get as much of a stretch. Try to just relax the body as you pull that chest down. If you're already really used to a forward fold like this, just straighten the knees. Same cues, still reach with that chest forwards and down, but straight legs instead of bent knees. A few breaths here. And then begin to lift your way up, legs a bit of a shake. Bring the soles of your feet together, knees apart for a bound angle pose. Grab a hold of your feet here, sit nice and tall. Same as before, you want to tip that pelvis up as if you're trying to stick your butt out behind you. Take a nice inhale, puff the chest. Next exhale, reach from that chest forwards and down. Here you can always use your hands to help pull you down a little bit more. Maybe use your elbows on the shins or knees to help wiggle them a bit further. And from here, make sure with your neck that you're not reaching forwards. That's going to create a lot of tension in your neck and strain, as you can clearly see. So what you want to do if you're reaching with your neck, feel the back and see if you can feel that bend. If you can't, your neck is probably nice and straight. If you feel that bend, tuck the chin under, lengthen through the crown of that head, and it'll help give you a more straight spine there. A few nice breaths, really let that body relax, ease up with every exhale. The exhales are used to release that pressure, that tension, let it go, and maybe you'll even find that you'll sink a little bit further. Begin to lift your way back up, bring those knees together and just rock them a little side to side, loosening everything up. And then we're just going to scoot a little bit forwards, make sure we're centered on our mat so we can lean back. From here, we're going to start with our left foot and cross it over that right thigh. Use your left hand to help push the knee open and then rest your hands down the mat. Here we're going to go into our bridge pose with our knee like this to help open up the hips. As you inhale, lift those hips up, trying to lift the hips as you push that left knee down. Again, really opening up the hips here. Lower the hips back down, still keep the left foot where it is, and begin to bring that right foot off the mat towards the body. You can take your right arm, weave it through that little hole you created, and, left hand weaves through that hole you created. Always same leg, same side. Grab a hold of that right knee, either on the knee or underneath the knee on the thigh, and just pull it in a little bit closer. Still make sure that you feel like you're pushing that left knee open. That way our hips, our knees are parallel to one another. Deep breath. And release. Letting that left foot step back down, take the right foot, cross it over the left thigh, open up that right knee. Hands down to the mat, inhale as you lift the hips up, bridge pose, push the hips up as you push that right knee down towards the mat, really opening up everything in the front there. Lowering back down, right foot still stays where it is. Left foot begins to lift off the mat towards the body. Same leg, same side hand, take that right hand, weave it through the hole you created, grab a hold of the left knee or underneath the knee on the thigh, and just pull it down. A few nice deep breaths. And slowly release from that pose, stepping that right foot back down. Just give your knees a little rock side to side. Just for a quick moment, we're going to step our feet to the edges of the mat or even off of the mat. Let those knees fall in towards each other, either resting against each other, or if your feet are further apart, they may just hang towards the center. This will help open up the back of our hips, where the tailbone is, sometimes into the glutes, depending on how tight you may be in that area. Sometimes you may even feel it in the low back. But we tend to always do the front hip opening. We can't forget about the back hip. If we can learn to just create that mobility all around in our hips, we'll have less injury, less tightness, less tension. So we need to make sure that we get every which way that our hips can move. Let your arms rest down by their sides with the palms up. Just giving it a nice little moment here. And then begin to lift the knees back up. Heel toe the feet back together. One last time, we're going to rock the knees a little side to side. And stopping in the center for final Shavasana, I'll give you two options here. Number one, the one that I do recommend to just continue opening our bodies, soles of the feet together, knees drop apart for that bound angle. If, for whatever reason, you're too tight, it's a little sore, just straighten the legs down your mat for our regular Shavasana. Whichever one you're in, get nice and comfortable. Tuck those shoulder blades underneath, palms facing up. Allow the eyes to softly close and take one nice deep breath before returning to the natural breathing. Still being aware of the breath here. If you feel tired after the sequence or exhausted or hyper even, be aware of where that breath is at. How did it change from the beginning to the end? Still following every inhale, every exhale. Allowing yourself to arrive back down on this mat, grounding through the tailbone, reaching up through the crown. And just simply breathe. Allow the mind, the body to just be. Thoughts may pop up, your mind may wander. And if they do, just let those thoughts flow by. No need to still linger on one particular thought. Let it flow by, but you can acknowledge the fact that your mind has wandered, not labeling anything good or bad, no judgment to yourself. It just is what it is. Making sure to really acknowledge that you took this time out for yourself, this class dedicated to you. Spread that positivity within the body. Every inhale, feel like you're breathing in that white light, lifting you up, feeling everything, the stomach, the collarbone rise, and then fall with the exhale as you breathe out. Any judgment, any tension or stress, let the rest go. If your knees are still apart, take that moment to lift them back up together and just straighten them down the mat, giving your fingers and toes a bit of a wiggle. Rock the head a little side to side. And then reach those arms up above the head. Take that nice long body stretch. And leaving your right arm where it is, bring the left hand to the stomach, bend at the knees, and simply roll to that right side, resting for a moment in the fetal position. Always take this time again to even thank yourself for dedicating a section of your day to this practice, to you. And still with eyes closed, use those hands to help lift your way back up to that comfortable cross-legged seated position. Nice and tall on your mat, palms up over the knees, shoulders relaxed. Feel that tailbone tucked under slightly, chest a little puffed, reaching tall through the crown of that head. Take a deep inhale in and sigh through the mouth. Bring your hands to heart center, and we're going to rub our palms together, creating some heat and energy between them. And then place the palms up over the eyes, allowing yourself to blink them open into the darkness of the palms. Let the energy, that heat, flow back in, waking up your mind, your eyes, your body for the day ahead of you. And then bring your hands back to heart center. Namaste.